Welcome to SSX Tricky. I hope you're ready.
Alright guys, welcome to SSX Tricky. And today we're going to be doing a beginner's guide to Aloha and Alaska show-off. Obviously they're the final two tracks, but for some reason those were the two tracks that I tended to struggle with the most growing up. And even to this day, you can occasionally see people struggling with them. So for this challenge we're going to be using Zoe. You'll notice that Zoe is max stats, right? But we're still going to be using her because she's not the best trick character, but she's not the worst character either. And by choosing one of the earliest boards in the game, I'm also giving myself a little bit of a handicap, which should even out the max stats that I do have. While doing this challenge, I also noticed that I was almost doing my job a little too well, which is odd. I don't really consider myself to be a good SSX player. I don't consider myself to be a bad player. But for some reason, when I was doing this, it went a little bit better than expected. But don't worry, you'll still see me wiping out a ton.
Aloha Ice Jam, once the crown jewel of the SSX World Circuit, has undergone some changes this season. Chiseled from the polar ice caps and brought to the South Pacific locale in beautiful Hanalei Bay, Hawaii. This course has 18,000 feet of new shortcuts, making it more fun and challenging than ever before.
Something I also would like to stress very much is the fact that you don't need to necessarily be good at tricks in this game to get the gold on these two tracks.
Winter in Hawaii never looks so good.
But it will surely help if you know where to jump, because that's the only reason why I completed the track the first time around. So starting straight away with Aloha here, you want to take the rail that's on the left side because it's the easiest to get on. You also want to stand in broad stance just so it's easier to hold your balance. And then when you get to this jump here, you can either try and go for a rail or just jump over it. And here's the first thing you do. You try to do a small uber kick and hopefully you catch the multiplier there, as I just did. For some reason I jumped there, don't ask me why, it just happened. And here is my second little jump, which is quite tricky, but you can do an uber off it and you can succeed. And there I did my third uber. And then I go to this rail here and I hope to get the 5 times multiplier. It's very tricky, and if you miss it you don't have to worry about restarting because you get plenty of more opportunities to nail it. In one way it was kind of bad that I got it there because it made the rest of the run a lot easier. I don't really like to be on this path that I ended up on here, but here you can also do one of the longer Ubers, so that's nice. One of the reasons why I don't want to be there is because, as you can see now, I'm trying to go left, and you want to get on the rail that's on the left side there. Being on the rail will make things so much easier. There's a 5 times on the rail, but obviously I missed the rail and I can't really seem to get back onto it, which kind of sucked, but I already have the gold. But this will show you, hopefully, that you can mess a lot of things up and hopefully you will still be able to get it. Something I like to do, because these ice areas are quite tricky, I try to go for just one jump with an Uber instead of trying to do all of them because I just tend to mess up them. And here is typically where I do my second to last Uber on that multiplier. You can easily do a short Uber there, no worries. And then it's pretty much smooth sailing to the finish line, essentially. And if you don't have the gold here yet, you shouldn't need to worry because you get one final Uber opportunity with a multiplier and hopefully that will make you gold if you haven't done so already. So yeah, coming up on this jump is when I do my last Uber of Aloha. And hopefully this was somewhat helpful. The start of Aloha was basically pretty awesome, but I also messed up quite a bit during the course, so I think it was pretty nice, you know? It was a better attempt than I had planned, but it works out nicely anyways.
That's for you, Jolly!
Congratulations. Nice ride. The challenge, enormous. The rewards, battle scars and bragging rights. The track, Alaska, the newest member of the SSX circuit. Surviving the onslaught of obstacles and conditions on these slopes is a badge of courage that few can boast to wear.
Too bad they didn't make this course a little challenging.
So now we're gonna start with Alaska right here, and it's pretty straightforward. Just try to do a lot more Ubers in the beginning than you think you might be able to do. So first you get on this rail, you boost just a little bit, but don't boost too much because then you'll fly off it. And for some reason I got on this rail as well, which I don't normally tend to do. Right here I do my first Uber, and then I would usually get on this rail over here. And here you can't boost because that's gonna ruin you. And then I do the second Uber here. And that little ice there is usually quite kind to you, but for some reason I wiped out there, because here I normally do the third Uber, but as you can see I didn't have the speed for it, considering I just wiped out, so that was a little unfortunate. Thankfully that rail didn't kill me, but here I would normally go up and I would do another Uber, and then I would do an Uber here, but because I didn't have the boost for it, I couldn't. And then here I do the third Uber. Usually it's the 4th or 5th for me, but I had a bit of bad luck with this. I get this 5 times if I can, which helps out quite a bit. And then I went for this Uber right here, but for some reason my aim was off, so I just butchered it. You'll see me butchering a lot of things, especially on this track, which is quite nice because honestly, this is probably a start that's really bad and I wouldn't normally recommend it, but I could still rectify it in the end, which I find quite nice. So then you want to get this 3 times multiplier right there. I missed it, but then I got on this rail and got the 5 times, which helped out tremendously. If you've done a lot of Ubers in the beginning, and you missed the 5 times and you missed the 3 times, then you should still be peachy. But because I've missed so many Ubers in the beginning, I was quite happy that I managed to get that one. And then you can do an Uber here. And unfortunately, you will notice that I just did a repeat Uber, which is really bad. And what you want to do, especially on a track like this where you want to squeeze in a few Ubers like this one right here, you want to make sure that you add a little spin like I did right there at the end, because that's going to make you not do a repeat. Because if you do a repeat, it's going to deduct half the points the first time you do it. And that's something you really want to avoid on this type of tracks. Which also goes for Aloha, by the way. You definitely want to avoid repeats there as well. I find that you can get huge air off of that jump, but then I butchered that landing. But if you can get the air time and then you land it, it's a good place to do a longer Uber. Here I just basically go through the track as intended. Don't really do anything interesting. And then in this little area right here, you can do a little bit of farming with Uber tricks. You want to keep an eye on the time limit though. The time limits in Tricky are quite generous, I find. So you can maybe do 3 or 4 Ubers there. I only did 2 because I didn't want to cheese it too much. Then you try and do this. Don't worry if you miss a few multipliers. Hopefully it will still be fine, you know? And then here, I decided to go for a 3 times multiplier. Obviously the 5 times is so much better, but it's a little bit harder to hit, you need more speed. Unfortunately, I also missed the multiplier right there, so it was a pretty bad attempt, but you can see why I wanted to go for 3 times and not the 5 times right there. And then here, I always take this icy middle path. I would get the 3 times with a short Uber, and then you hopefully get to either the 3 times or the 5 times right there. But of course, I messed it up, obviously. So that didn't really happen. But then on this area right here, you want to take the left side because there's a 3 times multiplier here. That's gonna be useful for you. So here you can do an Uber trick and get the 3 times, which will help a lot. And then it's mostly just ice here, really. So as you can see, I don't have the gold yet, but I also don't want to rely on that 5 times, because if everything else fails in Alaska, there is a huge 5 times at the last jump of the game. And that's usually how a lot of people end up getting their golds the first time. And for some reason, I've been missing it quite a lot recently. But in one way, it's kind of good, because I don't want the gold to be relied on that 5 times for this little tutorial type thing. So I'm glad I got the gold on the jump before this now. But if everything else fails, don't give up until you have completed the final jump, because on this jump you can do 2 Ubers, and if you get the 5 times, it's gonna be a huge improvement to your overall score. Just be careful with the controls, because sometimes they're a bit inverted there at the landing. But if you land it right there, then that should basically just be a free gold, essentially. And yeah, that was pretty much it for this tutorial.
Head to toe, excellent!
Well done. You've won a gold medal. You found the rhythm and didn't get rocked off it.
I hope this was somewhat useful. I definitely screwed up a lot of things, but I also did a few things pretty well. A few hits, a few misses, and hopefully that's going to show you that you don't need to do everything perfectly, you know. You can suck at the game, and it will still be peachy, hopefully. So yeah, hopefully this was helpful for you, and thank you for watching.